Good afternoon, everyone. I am Sania Salim, and I'm very excited to welcome you to TechCrunch and QuickBase's first partner webinar series. Joining me today are two really amazing speakers who I'm very excited to feature. Deb Gildersleeve, our CIO at QuickBase, who heads up our entire IT organization, and Shannon Curran, our Senior Manager of Content Marketing and Communications. Deb and Shannon, welcome to today's webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia.
So quick agenda. We're going to give you a quick overview of the state of the market, talk about one of our customer stories, and feature Anil Green, and then really go into the conversation with Deb and Shannon around what is dual track transformation and how can CIOs adopt the strategy to transform their businesses. So state of the market, at this point, I think it's no new news that COVID-19 has really changed how we operate on a day-to-day basis, and not just changing it for individuals, but really has transformed how businesses operate today and what future is going to look like. Like again, a few years ago, if you'd asked me if what 5 years would look like, I would have said there's going to be like a lot of transformation, offices would look different, people would be collaborating together, but nowhere would I ever thought that we would be in the state of a pandemic. I would be remote with my kids here and we would be collaborating online. So yes, the world has changed. Businesses are being asked to do a lot more with a lot less resources. As we know, with COVID-19, unfortunately, a lot of businesses had to furlough their employees. A lot of manufacturing came to a halt. We really had to become adapt at doing business in a new way and really transforming how we operate. So where we were doing more with less, at the same time, the pace and scale of the transformation was really grand too, because you now all of a sudden had to transform while, taking your legacy systems that were in your office, like your ERP and your CRM, into your home and trying to get data out of them. So at the same time where previously what was available to you in an office environment may not be available to you at home. So we were keeping up with that pace became important. And then lastly, traditional sources and traditional strategies didn't scale. Like I just mentioned, your ERP, CRM instance, scaling those to remote instances became hard and challenging for businesses. So in this state of the market, what are businesses going to do? The Economist ran a survey of business executives in June 2020 this year and asked them what they thought the greatest opportunity was for businesses after COVID. The top answer, which nobody's surprised, was that businesses were going to have greater digital agility. So the word digital agility sounds great. It's like, ooh, new buzzword, but you often wonder, what does that even mean? So what is operational agility? Our definition of it is that operational agility is really a company's ability to flex and adapt, to really change to the market needs and change in real time. It includes three main pieces, which is how do you take your core systems and extend them into whatever environment you're in. So the ability to extend your core systems, get real-time insights into your operations, and really find an easy way to adapt and automate any workflow across your organization. And we're all very familiar with this traditional digital transformation mode, right? Like where you had your set of core systems that every business went through, your CRM, your ERP, your document management, which were slow and complex and really took forever to implement. I know in certain instances, the installation of an ERP system could take a couple of years, to where you have too many point solutions. I know on my personal phone, I may have 50 different point solutions to do different things. And then at the same time, everybody uses tools like Excel, which, are prone to error because they're manual. And, version control becomes hard because if you're trying to share information, somebody may have a different version versus you. So these systems are unresponsive and inflexible. And when the need comes to really transform your business, the question is, how do you do it? So at this point, I want to hand it off to Shannon to talk about what was the research we conducted with Harvard Business Review.
Awesome. Thanks, Sonia. So yes, at the beginning of 2020, really the end of 2019, we got into a relationship with the Harvard Business Review Analytics Services to talk about doing a survey of over 400 IT leaders about digital transformation, about the way that they're going about doing it, about how successful they believe their digital transformation is. And more importantly, what we found from it is what we believe is the most effective approach, which we are calling dual track transformation. So the name of the report is Driving Business Success with a Dual Track Approach to Transformation. And we talked to these folks about a myriad of things that ended up coming out to say that there really is an approach that a lot of the leading companies are using to conduct their digital transformation, and that's called what we're calling dual track. So you'll see here that 78% of the executives, and this was before COVID-19 as a reminder, so this is not post disruption, this is pre-disruption. 78% of executives aren't willing to rate their current digital transformation strategies as very effective. So you can see here that most executives are finding that they want to, they need a better way to conduct their digital transformation efforts. So I'd love to actually bring in our very own IT leader, Deb, to tell us a little bit more about what does dual track transformation look like from her perspective.
Yeah, and from our perspective, we're defining a dual track approach as enterprise-wide transformation running in parallel with a rapid cycle innovation. It simultaneously addresses both sorts of issues along the way. And I think of it as an evolution of what Gartner was saying a number of years ago about mode 1 and mode 2 development. Mode 1 was your legacy systems that you might not be changing all that much. And then mode 2 was your more custom innovative systems or SaaS systems that you were implementing to supplement those systems. I think of this as more of an evolution, much the same way the data space has evolved from IT delivering all of your data insights to tools provided to your end users who are now finding new and exciting data insights in your data platforms. So those are some of the ways that we were looking at it.
And I would love to hear a little bit about what you think the benefits are. I know that this slide kind of tells us, but I'm sure you have more to say than just that.
Yeah, so I mean, the benefits are it empowers the people closest to the work. And that just means that IT isn't always, they're not always close to where the problems are. And you can have a conversation about what those problems are, but if they're not significant, there may be other priorities in the IT organization. So it allows the people who are suffering the pain points on a day-to-day basis to solve their own problems. It encourages digital innovation in all corners of the organization. And again, this goes back to empowering people closest to the work. So anywhere that there's a manual process or a point solution or an area where the ERP isn't doing what you need it to do, this allows people to solve for those problems themselves in all parts of the organization. And then because you're looking at it in sort of manageable chunks, like they're small projects, you get speed to success and you solve a number of small problems, and that really supports that overall digital transformation.
Awesome. Yeah, and so can you just tell us a little bit about, I know we've used these words now, right? Dual track transformation, enterprise-wide transformation, rapid cycle innovation. Can you really describe what that was a lot of syllables. Can you describe exactly what that looks like in an organization?
Sure, it empowers the professionals outside of IT proposing and creating workflows. Workflow systems, they're the ones who, again, know what the issues are. So they're able to propose and create some of those workflows. Rapid cycle innovation also allows for quick wins for the business. Again, you're solving small problems that gets you to a quick win, and the business can move on, saving time and money along the way. And it also supports a longer term transformation. Again, as you solve some of the smaller problems, that allows for bigger problems to get more focus over time.
And as you can see here, I think this is the exact sort of definition of what it looks like to run these two approaches parallel to one another. So I'd love to hear a little bit how they complement one another as within your business.
Absolutely. So when you think of grand scale transformation, you're talking about that enterprise-wide focus on a new technology. Now, whether that's your ERP, your CRM, your document management solution, it's a big system, and that's a good place for your IT folks to focus. But those systems don't always address each and every little pain point along the way that might be there for your business users. Rapid cycle innovation allows those business users to fill in the gaps. So while the majority of the work is being handled by the enterprise system, the business users can then complement that and build out their own processes that fill in the gaps to that enterprise-wide system. It also attempts to change the cultures and the business workflows impacted by digitalization. That's what grand scale transformation does. You're not going to implement a large scale system without changing how people do things. But with rapid cycle innovation, you can do a more targeted approach. So you don't have to go back and change everything. You don't have to change across, a global organization. You can change the processes that impact you and your organization and allow your team to get your work done faster. With a grand scale transformation, you've got there's a complexity and time component to an implementation of a larger system, and it's not going to fulfill every goal. Every large scale transformation will not take care of every goal. But with rapid cycle innovation, again, it's sort of with the focus on the workflows, both within and across business units, you can adapt and work within that framework to, again, complement and supplement the larger system. And then with a grand scale transformation, they can be multi-year. Putting in an ERP can take a long time, and there's a lot of money that's involved with that. But with rapid cycle innovation, again, you can modify the processes that impact you today without having to completely change that system that you spent all that time and money implementing. But you can get to a better place in terms of your business processes, your business flows, and the data that you're storing.
Yeah, I think that last point is so key for right now too, because your processes of today might look different every day right now. And I think that is what we're finding, is that we did this research before this massive global disruption. But what we're seeing now is, making points about filling in gaps used to be nice to haves, and now they're must haves. Like those gaps are critical now, right? Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Awesome. So we're going to tell you a story about one of our most successful customers. So Enel Green Power, they are a global renewable energy company. And they, as you would assume, rely heavily on legacy systems as their central enterprise system. And to support their operations, their company has implemented large-scale digital transformation efforts around that ERP. By modernizing, unifying, and streamlining digital solutions on a global scale. So this is a massive investment, right? Global investment, consultants, years, dollars. Think about that. So Deb, how can you talk to us a little bit about how they wrapped rapid cycle innovation around this enterprise-wide transformation project with their ERP?
Yeah, absolutely. They've taken our QuickBase platform, a low-code platform, and they've enabled those closest to the work to be able to change processes along the way. And as they've done that, what they've built out are, they've got outage management and tech support systems built out. They've built out purchasing and asset tracking systems. And that was before COVID. Once COVID hit, they were able to build out apps that track cases, assets, and then the state and local shutdown and reopening orders. And they've been able to do that all within one platform, within the QuickBase platform.
Absolutely. And I think another key point to here is that as a global company, they were able to update these processes locally, right? And I think that is So it's not just on macro and micro within your technology, but it's also macro and micro within your business. So each one of these workflows may look different depending on your location. And they are able to create really custom workflows depending on the function within the business and then also the location in the area. So in speaking to, so Randall Bartlett is really their QuickBase king over there. He is a very, very proficient QuickBase builder, and he speaks to he has a lot of really great quotes in this story, but one of them is some of the ways we use QuickBase are to supplement our ERP system. So like we were talking about before, and instead of bringing in a consultant and trying to make changes to our ERP system, which would be done at a global level, we're able to locally build add-ons and applications that support that process. So that was exactly what I was talking to before. They're seeing a ton of value in being able to update their processes in real time. And one of my favorite things that he talks about is he says, like, as we think of new ideas, like we find another process that's inefficient, or we know that we can manage something better, it really always ends up coming back to how can we build out an application in QuickBase for that? And that is showing the value that they're seeing in this rapid cycle model, to be able to continue to update these processes as the world, as their business continues to change. All right, so we see here, I'm sure you're all bought in. You're like, this is great. I'm implementing this tomorrow. 92% of executives agree with you. They believe that dual track transformation is the best approach to digital transformation. But what we're seeing from the data is that only 31% of these executives have implemented this approach in their business. So what's up with your friends, Deb? What are they doing? Like, why aren't they doing it? Can you tell us?
Yeah, there's a range of reasons why it could be happening, and they can be as unique as the organization. But I think what bubbled up from our study, there are a few different reasons that we were seeing. And from that perspective, we are finding that the org culture doesn't always adapt. You know, we as people don't always adapt to changing conditions, and we might be resistant to change, and sometimes it's just a matter of lack of time and resources. Another reason can be security. You know, security is a really big topic for the IT folks right now, and has been for years. You know, without clear rules from IT and without some form of governance, that can get in the way of implementing a dual track approach and rapid cycle innovation. And then you've got so many outdated processes that are inefficient and manual and error prone. Sometimes you just don't even know where to start.
Definitely. So I'd love for you to talk to us about organizational culture. I know we talk a lot about really empowering those closest to the work and a bottoms up approach, but I would love to hear a little bit of your perspective on why culture starts at the top.
Yeah, so in this particular case, it absolutely has to start at the top. You know, again, you're enabling people across your entire organization, but if the culture doesn't support it, that's not going to go anywhere. And where the culture really needs to support it at the top is by enforcing some security policies. Also by creating that close collaboration between IT and your business. And then also managing the challenges when transformation becomes a part of everyone's job description. That's not a comfortable place for everybody. So they need to know that they're supported by the organization and by the organizational culture for them to try and do new things with new tools.
Definitely. And so here's our favorite, right? Inefficient processes. As you were saying earlier, these can feel just like a mountain, right? Of like, where do you even start? How big is it? How small is it? So tell us a little bit about this as a hurdle.
Absolutely. And part of what makes us inefficient is you might not even know how much is there. You know, you can't see below that line. You know, how many of these processes are out there? How many Excel spreadsheets are sitting on somebody's desktop? How many processes are dependent upon somebody getting an email to do the next step? You know, or you know, there's manual processes in place that people found as COVID-19 hit. You know, there were things that just, I don't think anybody even realized that just couldn't be done once, you know, everybody went home.
All right, and our final favorite topic. So security, right? So there's really two parts here that we found in the research, and I know that we've talked about previously. Is one part is how do you implement this in a secure and governed way? And then the second part is there is a little bit of misinformation or some misconceptions about the fact that that could even be done when it comes to IT leaders in some large organizations.
Yeah, and you know, to implement rapid cycle innovation, a low code platform can be really helpful here, where you've got some security built into the platform itself, where you've got some level of governance and controls that can be managed by IT, but then you also set out a clear set of rules to your organization as to what can and cannot be done, and how people should be using the platform. And I think, you know, when people sort of understand what the guardrails are within a platform, you know, they're much more likely to use it to try and solve problems.
All right, Deb, now show us how, even though all of those things can feel like barriers, that they are really worth investing in and figuring out how to overcome to really see the benefits of this approach in your business. So tell us a little bit about operational agility, that agility layer.
Yeah, absolutely. So for an agility layer, you know, this is a great place for a low code platform. And what that can do for you is enhance those larger systems. So we've talked about this through this talk that we're having, that you can use these platforms to build in ways of having these systems talk to each other, to build out processes that are specific to a particular business unit, maybe that wouldn't be specific to an entire organization, you know, and you can leverage the tool for that purpose. And you can do that at a much lower cost than you can if you were to go back and re-implement any one of those systems. Mm-hmm. Another thing that an agility layer provides is real-time insights. With that agility layer and building those workflows out in a tool, you can use that tool to get to those real-time insights across different systems without resorting to having a number of point solutions where you're not sure where to go for which piece of information and when. And then also it allows you to automate those workflows. The things that are sitting in your email or in Excel or other office productivity tools sitting on somebody's desktop or in a shared drive somewhere, it'll allow you to automate those workflows and allow access to that information across a wider part of your organization. And this is all done in a much faster way than if you were to do any one of these things on their own.
Mm-hmm. And I think what we're seeing here is that you go from inefficient and really difficult to change to responsive and flexible. And I think, as Sonia told us at the beginning, there really is no other way to be now other than responsive and flexible going forward. And so, Deb, thank you so much for sharing with us all of your incredible insights. It's always my favorite part of the day when I get to chat with you. And I'm going to throw it back to Sonia now, who will talk us through some questions from the audience.
Great, thanks, Shannon. And before we do questions, Deb, once again, I echo what Shannon was saying. Thank you so much for joining us today and giving us the CIO's perspective. I think before we begin Q&A, I just wanted to say that, hey, if you're looking to learn more to the audience, here's the link. Quick shout out to, plug for QuickBase here. Go to our website, check out our dual track transformation report. And also, very exciting news, you have a chance to win $250,000 in prizes by joining our hackathon and showing us, how you can drive operational agility at your organization. So check out quickbase.com, and for the hackathon, quickbase.devpost.com, and hopefully you can join us and win some prizes. All right, so now let's open it up to Q&A.